Okay, I just wanted to make sure it's recording, but good morning, everybody. I know this is not ideal because of the weather outside. We are deciding to do a Zoom here, which will eventually be uploaded onto YouTube where you can access the Zoom link later. I will be sending these out via email, as well as the handouts that we'll go over a little bit later, and the survey at the end. We will talk a little bit more about that. First off, I just want to tell you, today we'll be talking a little bit more about learning how to relax, techniques to temperament. During this program, you'll find a lot of tips and tricks on how to address temperament and how it can play a huge factor in just your emotional dispositions and our reactions and just our overall behavior in general. It influences the way we act in our everyday life and how we approach. Temperament can anticipate how a situation will end up. And there are healthy ways to address temperament, and there are different ways to communicate our challenges that we are experiencing. First off, I want to start by sharing my slides. So let me make sure I do this correctly. One moment. Oh man. Gosh. 1 second. Oh, ha, ha. There we go. Okay. Well, we kind of already went over that. So you guys know I am Emily Christ. I am the extension educator here in Elkhart County. My program area is Health and Human Sciences. I've only been here for about 6 months, so I may not have met everybody yet that are watching today's presentation, but I'm looking forward to meeting each and every one of you and creating great relationships with each and every one of you as well. I want to just also start out by talking about our survey, which I will show you guys a little bit later at the end, kind of what it looks like and what to expect in your email box. But what that looks like is it's a before and after to kind of assess if this program was successful, what needs to be worked on, so on and so forth. So I will make sure to send that your way. It is completely confidential as well as optional, but it does help me improve the program and improve kind of different parts of it. So please watch out for that. And then let me move on here to the next slide. Sorry, this is my first time recording, so we're experiencing this together. I don't. Okay, there we go. So who am I? A brief overview of myself is, so I already introduced myself. My name is Emily. I am recently married, so my name was Emily Witters. It is now Emily Christ, which you can see my cute little husband there at the bottom. But just a little bit of background about myself, which I like to do before each lesson, just so you guys can get to know me a little bit more, and know kind of what I do in the community is, I graduated from IU. So the rivalry school, yes, I know. I got a bachelor's of science in health sciences with a concentration in health promotion. I also have a minor in education and psychology. I'm also, like I said, recently married this past August. And we have a 4-year-old lab. You can see up in the top left of the slide. His name is Moose. We love to travel. We do a lot of traveling to Kentucky because that is where my husband is from. A little bit more about my personal life is I just love getting to be outside. I love to hunt and fish with my husband. Love getting to hang out with my friends. We all love to cook together and bake. One of our newest sensations is the charcuterie board. That's like a recent obsession. And I love getting to be with my family. I'm very close with my family. So that's them in the bottom right. So move on to the next one. So a little bit more about the vision and mission of this lesson today. So our objectives are to establish what is temperament, some possible triggers to cause anger, barriers during an argument, and some tips and tricks for navigating through anger. I'd like to cover a multitude of aspects when it comes to learning to relax and addressing several techniques to temperament. Our objectives today, I just discussed, but the overall vision of this lesson is to understand how to identify anger and handle situations that might trigger anger. And the mission is to improve mental and physical health by providing ways to address anger in difficult situations. You may be asking, what is temperament? Temperament is a natural part of our character that affects our moods and the way you behave. In terms of psychology, temperament broadly refers to consistent differences in behavior amongst individuals based off of a biological trait that could be relatively independent to one's way of learning, our value system, or even just our general attitude. Many people know temperament just to be a part of your mood. So that helps with a better understanding of what is temperament before going into our lesson today. What could be affecting your anger? Getting to the root of it. So this could look different for everybody. Internal and external events, just an overall worry, traumatic events, and intuitive thoughts. When you get angry, your heart rate along with your blood pressure begins to rise. This then triggers your energy, hormones, adrenaline. On a normal day, different things or events can make someone angry easier. This could be external events ranging from a traffic jam or during rush hour, or because you spilled your coffee on your way to work, which is what I did this morning. Those dang icy roads out there. Or it could be an internal event one is struggling with. Having the thoughts of traumatic events could bring up bouts of anger or rage. Anger could also be caused by not speaking about the things that you are currently struggling with or worrying about. Having heavy emotions inside with no way out will most likely lead to an outburst later on. While anger is natural, so is the emotion that we carry with us. Emotions are meant to be handled with care and expressed in the most natural way possible. I like to think of emotions similar to a plant, the way that it grows. A plant is always growing and will bloom if it is not taken care of. Another thing to think about when we think about relaxing and our temperament is, are there things that could be causing it, like underlying conditions? So these things do matter because they could be triggering it. So just a little bit about some of the ones that are listed there on the screen is generalized anxiety disorder, which the acronyms for that is GAD. This is a disorder to which certain objects or situations are fearful or dreadful, as well as with physical signs of anxiety or panic, such as rapid heartbeat and sweating. Persistent depressive disorder, which is PDD, is a chronic type of depression. It is also known as, I should have practiced this, dysthymia. While it isn't as intense as major depressive disorder, it can interfere with your daily life. So major depressive disorder, which is MDD, causes feelings of extreme sadness and hopelessness. This has to last for more than 2 weeks in order for it to be considered major depressive disorder. This condition is also commonly referred to as clinical depression. There's also post-traumatic stress disorder, which is considered PTSD, which is a mental illness that is triggered by experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event. There is bipolar disorder, which is a chronic mental illness that is characterized by episodes of energetic and manic highs and extreme, sometimes depressive lows. And our last disorder to consider is obsessive compulsive disorder, which is commonly known as OCD, causes constant and repetitive thoughts or obsessions. This can lead to carrying out unnecessary and unreasonable desires or behaviors. In many cases, one may not realize they have a short temper and why it may be triggering by an already existing mental illness. In many cases, these conditions can make us more susceptible to being quick to anger. Some individuals even struggle with a disorder known as intermittent explosive disorder, IED. It is a mental health condition marked by frequent, impulsive anger outbursts or aggression. While in most cases, it is most common for younger adults to struggle with IED, it is still possible for many adults to struggle with it as well. In a personal relationship to this, my sister actually struggles with IED, and for years it went without treatment or went without any type of medication or anything like that, because we just thought it was one of the underlying conditions, and she was mistreated for years. And it was just because we didn't really know what IED was until we had found the right doctor and the right explanations. The next part of this is, are you exerting your energy correctly? Are you doing things that work for you? This could be finding an activity you enjoy, exercising, going for a walk, or stretching. As I mentioned earlier, we talked about how one's blood pressure and heart rate will begin to rise once they feel themselves getting angry. Some may put themselves into a fight or flight mode, which could make the situation even worse. While fight or flight mode will release the stress hormone involved, it could also do more damage mentally and physically. In order to prevent this situation, or if the situation arises, try exerting your energy the best way you see fit. Distract yourself for the time being in a way where your energy can be put towards something else. This could look like a hobby, exercise, going for a walk, or stretching. We want to make sure that at a later time we can talk about our emotions and our feelings and how to move forward when the temper is not heightened. Consider, are you burnt out? Looking inward. What does your workload look like? Are you lacking support? Have you had any self-care lately? What is your extrinsic and intrinsic thoughts are, as well as their rewards? What does the fairness look like in your life, as well as your values? There are several factors that goes into feeling burnt out, whether it's your job, school, or your overall daily life. When our workload begins to feel like it's exceeding our capacity to manage and complete tasks, we start to feel overwhelmed. We will begin to lack support from the individuals we surround ourselves with, whether that is family, friends, work colleagues, etc. This can become difficult when you feel unseen or unheard. In many cases, we are constantly going at 100 miles per hour and thinking about the next thing. This leads to lack of self-care for ourselves, including exercise, proper nutrition, bathing correctly. It can range from a variety of things, but we have to take care of ourselves before we can take care of everything else in our lives, including other people. Fairness along with rewards go hand in hand, especially in a work setting. When we begin to go unnoticed by the people who truly matter, this can lead to burnout if the individual's contributes or works continue to go unnoticed. Lastly, our values can be important when it comes to having continuous disagreements. This is common in work and personal relationships because decision-making and time management is difficult to agree on. So what are some tools for change? We need to understand some of the different strategies that can go into it. This could be rhythm, your approach, your overall mood, your willingness to adapt, and your sensitivity levels. While it is important to do what works for you on an individual basis, these are some basic tools for change when addressing temperament in the long range. First, it is important to continue a rhythm or pattern with yourself. As silly as it sounds, keep yourself on a regular schedule of eating and sleeping, socializing, self-care, working, whatever that looks like for you. This is the first step in regulating your body. Second, be aware of your approach to different situations. Not everyone will react the way you think they will, and they may react different than someone else will. Keep an open mind and a light heart. Third, make sure you understand what kind of mood you're in. Being self-aware is never a bad thing. It's okay to not be in a good mood, but then be on alert with how you handle things for the duration of that time. Fourth, know how to adapt according to your surroundings and be able to recover from a situation if it doesn't pan out exactly how you want it to. And lastly, be in touch with your sensitivity levels, and with other sensitivities levels as well. Understand that someone else might be having heavy feelings, which means you might need to change or pivot the way that you handle something. Establish your comfort levels. Know what your limits are, as well as other people's too. Stop and reflect, look within, give yourself some space, and agree to disagree. Only you know yourself better than anyone. You have to be able to advocate for you, what you are comfortable and not comfortable when diffusing an argument or situation. When things happen that make us upset, it's hard to stay calm and not immediately become defensive. The first step to stop and reflect. Look within and see if there's a deeper meaning to the disagreement. Give yourself time and space to think about what would be beneficial to say next. Understand that it's okay to disagree. And it's also okay to use humor sometimes. It's okay to laugh. It will diffuse the tension and it'll help monitor nonverbal cues. It can even smooth situations over and put situations into perspective to form a stronger bond. Sometimes laughter can be the best medicine. In some cases, we don't realize what we are arguing even about, and it may be pointless, or maybe it did mean something to us, but this wasn't the right way to go about the discussion. Humor can help in finding something in common to laugh about and maybe make the situation a little bit more lighthearted. Develop better communication and don't let it get out of hand. There are ways to do this. You can stick to the topic, be specific about what you're talking about, reach out to that individual to discuss, making sure everybody has a chance to speak, reflect on your own actions, and limit the time spent on the discussion. Usually arguments or disagreements tend to escalate because as humans, we tend to let our emotions take over the current situation. Emotions and irrational actions will cause one to keep feeding into the argument instead of solving the larger picture at hand. In some cases, we forget why the argument started in the first place. It's important to do our best to stop and reflect when we get to this point, because this is when we're most impactful and sometimes hurtful in the things that we said. By stopping to allow everyone involved, we feel safe, we feel heard and understood. You are allowing your emotions to communicate in a way where everybody is being more mindful. Once we understand the relationship between our emotions and our reactions, we are more likely to be able to regulate our behavior in a healthy way. The importance of I statements. So when we begin to have difficulty in a conversation, our natural reaction is to get defensive and start using accusatory tones. This is the point in time where it is important to stop the discussion dead in its tracks. Once one or more or both of you begin to feel attacked, that is when you hit the pause button and reevaluate the situation at hand. While most of us have used I statements before, sometimes without even knowing, it creates the ability to have a constructive communication line. When do you use I statements? Use an I statement when you need to let the other person know you have strong feelings regarding an issue. The simple switch can change the entire directory of the conversation. Some of the examples we have on the screen are just changing it from "you never care about my feelings" to "I feel frustrated when my feelings aren't heard and acknowledged," or "you never tell me when I make you mad," or I would love when you, I would love to know when you feel upset with me so I can help. By not being accusatory and almost demanding with your words, You open it up so that your feelings are displayed versus demanded. I don't know if that makes sense, but I would love if people would ask questions too once watching this video as well. Think before you speak. This is a common known thing, but sometimes we just need to hit the pause button. You have all probably heard of the acronym before, but it is a great tool to use when you are stuck in a really stressful situation and you don't know how to take the next step in solving the problem. So the acronym is THINK, which stands for, the T stands for true, the H stands for helpful, I stands for inspiring, N stands for necessary, and K stands for kind. When we think about these, the T for true stands for, is what you are saying actually true? Or is it fake news? Lies and misinformation hurt others and reflect the liar as someone who is untrustworthy. Helpful. Are your words helpful? Is it assisting others to make better decisions? And offering good advice is also important. Is it inspiring? Getting ahead of myself. Are others inspired by what you are saying? People are greatly inspired by words which have been influenced to prompt others to do amazing things. Is it necessary? Do your words really need to be said? Useless chatter is annoying, while language that actively hurts others is wholly unnecessary. Kind. Is what you want to say kind? We all know that saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Unkind sentences obviously have the power to hurt people. Again, this can be a really great tool when it comes to speaking during an argument or starting a conversation. In many cases, we say the first thing that comes to our mind when speaking, and we don't always ask ourselves these questions. This could help in understanding how impactful our words are in these situations, especially ones that can be high tension. Sometimes it's okay to take a time out. Give yourself some space. This could look like planning ahead. Practice when it is okay to do this. Timeout doesn't mean you're escaping from the problem. Let others know when you're taking a few moments to yourself. Timeouts, they're usually effective and sometimes they're not. The first step is understanding your emotional boundaries. It's acknowledging that sometimes timeouts are effective and sometimes they aren't. Depending on the conversation, some individuals have a heightened emotional state, causing abrupt outbursts and high emotions. One thing you can do for you and the other individual is taking some time apart. Communication will become less clear and isn't always healthy when emotions are high. In order to be productive in a conversation and create intellectual dialogue, breaks are sometimes needed. This could look different for everyone. One person may need 5 to 30 minutes, while another person may need a whole week. Understand what is a healthy amount of time to gather your emotions and your thoughts and reconvene when you are ready. Try not to take too much time away. That quickly becomes avoidance and the problem will never get fixed. Learn to problem solve. Again, sometimes it's okay to take a step back. Stay calm. Don't always take it personally. Understand there is a deeper issue. Listen to what each person has to say and think of different solutions. When you're amidst an argument, a solution almost seems impossible. The first step to a solution is acknowledging there is a problem. In time of an argument, there are productive ways to problem solve. The first step in the process is usually identifying the issue. Next is to understand the arguments happen when someone wants or needs are not being heard, or they don't feel important in that person's life, or they're taking it too personally. Take ownership and responsibility in what just happened. Once blame starts being appointed, it's difficult to take that away. Be sure to have an open mind as well as an open heart. Lastly, if you are able to, Think of possible solutions to the problem together. If needed, take some time apart to rethink. Do so, but then come back together and talk about solutions to where it'll suit both parties' needs. And know when to seek help. How do you know when it's okay to seek help? When you begin to hurt yourself or others, when you feel like your anger is beginning to become out of control. Notice small things that are making you more angry, and you quickly regret things that you say or do, and you find yourself feeling more angry than not. It can be difficult to know when you have reached a tipping point in anger, when it becomes almost impossible to calm down, or when you find yourself being more angry than not. That's usually a sign of needing help with expressing anger. Another sign that anger has become a significant problem is when it affects your physical, mental, and emotional behavior. Once somebody becomes destructive, their go-to emotion has become anger, making it more difficult to carry out any other emotion that they're having. It is our body's natural reaction to get angry at big situations. Emotions are normal, as is anger. When anger can tend to become an issue is when it starts to become uncontrollable. This could look different for many people. To some, it may be suppressed or converted into energy for something else. There is danger in both types of anger. With suppression comes ignoring the problem at hand. It then gets bottled up for long periods of time to then lead to destructive behavior. When there is no way out, people who are able to convert their energy in a healthy way can look assertive in most cases. The healthiest way to direct your energy is in an assertive way rather than an aggressive way. Being assertive is different than aggression. You are meeting and respecting your needs without being aggressive. You are still being respectful of yourself as well as being respectful of others. Try not to hold a grudge. What is the cause? Accept the situation and choose whether to forgive or not. Try to reduce your stress and manage anxiety-inducing thoughts. Improve emotional health as well as increase your self-awareness. Personality characteristics are a big reason why one might hold a grudge. This could be due to situational trauma and experiences, family dynamics, and the mentality of all good or all bad. So glass half full, glass half empty. All of these influences our behaviors towards situations that might be complex. While we are all responsible for our own actions, we have the power of acceptance. We can choose to accept the situation and the next steps moving forward. We also have the ability to apologize. Although we may not completely agree, we have the ability to mend situations by taking initiative. While it's not always easy to forgive and move on, your mental health will thank you when you do. Holding on to toxic emotion or anger, whether it's yours or not, only does you a disservice. Being able to be self-aware during this process and changing your reactions in a healthy way will enhance your relationships with others and yourself. Talk it out when you're ready. So sometimes it's okay to plan for those hard talks, but don't be disrespectful. Practice your active listening skills and express yourself in a respectful manner. Change your way of thinking if you absolutely have to, and insert humor. Talking out an argumentative conversation that occurred can be difficult because you never know what or how people will communicate. The first step is to do whatever is you need to do to plan for a tough talk. We spoke about this a little bit earlier. This could look like going for a walk or writing down your thoughts. Be sure to stay present and in the moment. Do your best to avoid bringing up the past. Stick to the topic as that if you were there, what you were there for. Always ensure to respect the other individual and what they are saying. These conversations can be difficult. To be sure to listen before speaking and remember that you are working together to solve the problem. If you go into the conversation with a bruised way of thinking, it could be detrimental to the outcome of the conversation. Lastly, remember, it's definitely okay to insert humor into a serious talk. In most cases, it'll help lighten up the moods and bring calmness to the conversation. And know that it's okay to ask for help. Again, it's okay to need somebody. Seek help when it's needed. Be patient. Learn about your triggers and your boundaries, and plan for yourself. As I mentioned, anger is a natural emotional state. The body endures when it experiences external and internal events. People deal with their anger in different ways, but some individuals just have a lower tolerance for frustrations, annoyance, and any type of inconvenience. These individuals become easily more agitated, and minor issues leave them feeling defeated. When an individual has consistently taken the steps to improve their anger and still are finding themselves in an out of control rage, this is when it's time to consider counseling. Seeing a licensed mental health professional or a psychologist will help develop techniques specialized to you and your wants for behavior change. While this can be hard, decisions to move towards, there are support systems in place in order to go through this process. Therapists and psychologists are there to create a personalized plan for you and accept you for who you are. They work with your strengths and your weaknesses to achieve an overall healthier lifestyle. My sister went through the exact same situation, and she had to seek counseling for herself after years of trying to go through medications, and it was actually kind of interesting. My cousin ended up becoming a therapist because of my sister, because she went through years and years of trying to figure out really what was wrong with her, but there was nothing wrong with her. She just kept getting misdiagnosed. So it was really interesting to finally see her get the help that she needed and to almost feel like herself again. So it just goes to show to not give up, because there's always a way to advocate, for someone to advocate for you and for you to advocate for yourself. And again, our next slide is you are your own advocate. So understand your anger, identify why you're angry, and look deeper into the issue. Take a moment for yourself, because you can internalize your anger in a healthy way. Be clear and precise when you're expressing your needs. Standing up for yourself, standing up for ourselves can be hard when we are in the middle of an argument or with somebody that we care about. Recognizing your anger and understanding the next steps that you need to take are the first steps in actually advocating for yourself. In order to improve a relationship or work through an argument, you have to make sure that you are at your best first. This is different for everyone, such as identifying again when you're angry, or just taking that moment for yourself. You know what's best for you. Today's takeaways. So besides what's on the screen, in the lesson today, we talked a lot about some really heavy topics. We have discussed how to identify when you are angry, understanding why you are angry, creating boundaries, and when you are angry, expressing your anger in a healthy way, and most importantly, using those I statements when you're having those hard talks. Sometimes it's hard to ask the hard questions about yourself, but we constantly blame our behavior on situations and other people's inactions. We neglect to look internally at the more influential reasons to our anger. The next time you are angry, think about the 5 things and ask yourself, what is the right way to get angry? What did you learn today? So now I'm going to talk about the survey. So again, the survey is completely voluntary to each person who takes it. The purpose is just to get feedback from you guys for future programs. Again, 100% confidential, and it stays in a locked cabinet in our Purdue office. But it helps with comparing this lesson versus future lessons. And if there's things that needs to change or things that I can adapt to, I will definitely do that. but I will get those sent to you. Let me pull up, let me see if I can minimize this. Oh man, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so this, let me see if I can still share my screen. Haha, I got it. So this is the survey that will be emailed to you guys. If you could fill that out on your email and get that sent back to us, that'd be great. As well as I will be sending you guys, this stress catcher. It's really great for creating just a different way for coping skills, and it's a different managing strategy for stress. It's very helpful for both kids and adults. It's a good way to focus. Now everybody has their own techniques for, let me stop sharing my screen. Everybody has their own ways to conduct stress, and that could be reading a book, that could be exercising, that again, that could look different for everybody. But I just wanted to put that out there. And if you have a club or anything that weren't able to attend today, or if you missed it, we do have those in the office for you to pick up. It's just those sheets. And then at today's lesson, I was going to pass out these little bubble wraps because growing up, this would help me popping these. It just helped with stress. I loved it. It's just simple. I know it's silly, but it's again, it's a fun little stress relieving technique. So I would love to thank you guys for attending today's lesson. I know that the weather didn't hold up for us as much as we thought, but it does look like it is sunny outside now. So if you have any questions, please call the office. Our phone number is 574-533-0554. And my email, it didn't pop up on the screen, but it was ewitters, WITTERS @purdue.edu. If you have any inquiries about anything, I am here. Thank you guys so much for attending today's lesson, and I will send those your way. Thank you.